All right, good morning and welcome to our channel. My name is Jay. I am the owner of Section8Consultant.com, and today I want to present some of the services that my office offers. But before I do that, let me make a few random introductions. I worked at the federal level for about 26 years. I think in total I served about 23,000 clients. And after 26 years, I did retire back in January, but I still do consulting work, just part time or PT. So the goal really today is to help you guys better understand all the things that are out there and how to take advantage of those different systems for federal housing and programs. And for those that need help navigating that system or expediting the process of utilizing that system, and for many more, having troubles with your PHA or public housing authority, your landlord, and other issues for discrimination and harassment, this is a very viable option. As I've been a member and flown out to many courts over the years to give testimony across all 50 states. So that's one of the unique things about doing consulting work at the federal level. I service all 50 states. Uh, Now, I will say contentiously that there are 4,300 housing authorities. I've not worked with every single one, probably only about a third through my career. But let's get into this list then. Guys, I'm gonna wait a few minutes and then I'm gonna give out a few memberships. For those of you who are loyal enough to show up today, I know this is not gonna be probably that entertaining of a video, but for those that stick around, I'm gonna give out these free memberships. There'll be 5. It only requires you tap on the screen of your phone, or if you have a mouse, you can tap on it on your desktop and tablet and so forth, okay? So, with no further ado, let's talk about these services that I offer. So, for housing consultation, I do general housing HCB guidance, programs, rules, eligibility, and explanations, understanding housing authority process, strategy planning for PBA clients, housing application and review and preparation and guidance, waiting list planning, open waiting list research, multi-county application planning, and preference category guidance. In other words, those that want to be able to receive federal housing with a higher category of preference. Status reviews, reinstatement of strategy, missed deadline reviews, dealing with closed waiting list options, priority and preference analysis, voucher search planning, housing search strategies, unit selection guidance, voucher extension planning, search timeline management, portability process and procedure, interstate moving planning, which is basically portability of moves, receiving and initial PHA research, transfer strategy, relocation preparation, moving coordination planning, um, some case research, so review of notices from the Housing Authority Communications, administrative plan searches, policy interpretation, case strategies and recommendation, program compliance review, income reporting guidance, annual and interim recertification education, rent calculation reviews, household composition questions, income change discussion, and also I can assist you with most of that income and assets issues you may have. Termination appeals, informal hearing process, termination reviews, response strategy, documentation and planning, program retention guidance, responsible guide, accommodation guidance, accommodation letters, disability related housing barriers, live in aid education forms, and even dealing with denials, accessibility and requesting planning, communication accommodation, and the discussion behind that as well, and dealing with the primary programs, emergency housing guidance, emergency housing vouchers, HUD BASH, VAWA, HOPWA, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, Section 811, Section 202, senior housing, disability housing, and roughly 130 other programs. And then you get into navigation, affordable housing guidance, public housing overviews, subsidized housing education, housing resource identification, program comparison. And then we move on to home ownership, better known as Section 8 home ownership or HUD home ownership, program availability and research, eligibility reviews, pathway planning for that. Then we move on to other sections that deal with landlords, but that won't be the purpose of today's video. So, in other words, when you work 26 years at the federal level consulting people, law firms, legal aid societies, there's nothing under the purview of Title 24, Code of Federal Regulation, policy, procedure, any of it that I don't deal with. Now, there's some things I prefer not to, depending on the client and the circumstances. So, a lot of you guys send me some pretty complex cases, and I got to tell you, you know, in the last couple of years, most of what I deal with is people that have a material problem with their public housing authority, denials, and bad landlords. That's what I deal with a lot. Very complex cases. A lot of it ends up in federal filings and even civil injunctions against different PHAs and landlords for improper conduct or, other issues related to harassment and discrimination. So those cases can go on for a little bit, but I would say that's probably what I'm starting to almost specialize at the end of my career. All right, so if you say a few shout outs here to you guys, and let's see, Cutie Pie, good morning, and Jay and Cute Kitties, well, thank you. No kikis today, guys. Like I told you guys, during the summer, my cats don't show up as much, though one did show up the other day and jumped in the bush behind me and in the mini blinds, and they made a big circus of that video. But that's okay. We always love to accommodate pets and cats. Skokie Land, I will schedule a second housing appointment when I get back from Oklahoma. Well, I'll be glad to speak to you again. It's been a while. Heather Bright, I worry that I won't get my recertification packet in accessible OCR format and will be, well, you reach out to my office. I can convert it for you. Okay. So there's a lot of things I can do. Do understand, guys, as of about 2 weeks ago, we started to convert part of our office and utilization of about 7 different forms of AI. I don't use AI in the same respect that everybody else does. Okay. Um, because AI only understands what it reads on the internet. It doesn't have experience like I do. It doesn't practice cases, see outcomes, and it doesn't check to see what works and what doesn't. I use it only in one respect, and that's to expedite the process with clients in terms of communication and putting things together. Because I'm notoriously bad when it comes to spelling and grammar. So it's been helpful in that way. And of course, creating shorter summaries for those that may be deficient in areas of learning disabilities or otherwise. But I do not use it as a case methodology to work on people's cases because that's ridiculous. So you have to be careful with that. AI is not that smart. It does not have wisdom yet. Maybe in the future. Moving from there, Infinite Possibilities. Good morning, Jay and Kiki's. Tony Williams. Good morning. Um, Jay and Kat, hope all is well. Can't wait for the discussion about landlords and housing development and inventors. Guys, in about a day or two, we're going to be discussing all the new forms of housing that are acceptable under HUD's new criteria. So you might want to join me the day after tomorrow. We're going to be discussing that in quite detail, and it's going to free up some market out there, especially those of you that like to live in mobile homes and tiny homes and many different things like that. So we're going to discuss that in a greater form that's ever been published, probably on YouTube. Lori Clinton, good morning, Jay. Well, thank you so much. And Hillbilly Hermit, Quinley, good morning. And so let me put up these free memberships because I see my core audience is here, and these are the people that I want to have these memberships versus just the average general public that likes to grab every single thing that's free because it doesn't make sense. If you're just visiting one time our channel, then getting a pre membership is probably not going to be that beneficial. So while we have the core group here, I'm going to go ahead and publish this. I'll do a quick countdown of 1, 2, and 3, and then it'll take a second or two for it to generate in the live chat here. So you'll need to have your finger ready to tap. If you're on a computer, then you'll need your mouse. If you're on your TV, good luck with that one. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I suppose you have to be really fast with your remote. Okay. So let's get started with the free memberships. There'll be 5, and then we'll see who wants to get those. Again, if you're just passing through like a saloon, this membership is going to do anything for you. If you're here to learn and you've been a member for a while, well, I should say a member, a subscriber, then you might find this to be beneficial. So, all right, let's see if I can put up these free memberships. All right, so here's the countdown: 1, 2, 3. I'm sending them now, thinking, and it's posted. Simply tap or click. All right, it appears all 5 have been accepted. If you'd like to join me in a day or 2, I will give out the other 5. I forgot to do this month, and so I just realized that this morning. So, since we're arriving pretty quickly at the end of the month, I'll give out another 10. And of course, for you, those of you who want to join me for the next video, we'll have 5 more free. I think, let's see, I think Saturday we'll do that. All right, so moving on down to Cutie Pie, I need to move to Seattle to be closer with my doctor. Should I apply for housing now where I live now or port over? Well, I think that you need to look procedurally at the steps you're going to take before you do this. One, you need to find out whether or not where you want to port to actually has the budget in place to support building and absorbing. This year has been notably very difficult in terms of portability because many PHAs are operating with a very low budget right now. And that means that they have the absolute right to decline portability, billing, and absorbing on the basis of lack of funding. So I checked that first. Materially, you need to put a couple of months into planning because, moving is not simple, it's costly. You don't want to arrive there and then find out later that it's not going to work out, and then thus all your stuff's in storage and you're living in a hotel, which will drain all the money out of your life, right? So, I would say for a better plan, it might be wise to reach out to a consultant. It doesn't need to be my office. I specialize in this to ensure people make a good transition. There's a lot of planning goes in place. I'm not going to get too deep in that in this video right now because we need another hour to do it. Moving from there, Musco Land, I'm not fast enough coffee. Well, drink 2 cups of coffee. Join me Saturday, Muskogee Land. We'll give it another try. You just have to tap, 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 brother. Battery YouTube says EHB is ending early. What can I do? Will I be homeless? Well, contextually speaking here, you're suggesting that the emergency housing voucher is ending. And yes, it is. It has been ending for a couple of years. As far as what you can do, well, I don't know enough about you or your case to really prescribe what you can do. I mean, I appreciate it respectfully you asking that question, but that's a complex thing, and I'm not able really to perform casework in a live chat or a public platform due to privacy concerns. But I would advise strongly that you start looking at other housing options if you don't really know how to navigate the system or the larger system in place for federal housing and vouchers and programs. You might want to speak with a consultant that has a lot of experience. It doesn't have to be me or my office, okay? It can be anybody that's qualified to do so, but that would likely yield a better result than you wandering around on waiting lists for the next 10 years, hoping and wishing that you might get housing or have a replacement option to the emergency housing voucher. Hillbilly Hermit, when you put the memberships up, do I just tap the actual message? Yes. I know there's a lot of confusion about that. And here's a problem with the memberships as I post them. I just click send and then it posts up that message. And then I'm supposing and guessing that you just tap on it. So unfortunately, I don't know much more. I've never accepted my own membership. So if anybody wants to lean in the comment section here and describe what you did to get that free membership, I'm sure everybody else would be curious. Moving from there, Daniel Beluga, one of our longest term commenters. I think Daniel Beluga has been in the channel about 7 or 8 years, putting up kiki emojis and guitars. So we appreciate you, Daniel. Quinley, thank you for the keycat emoji steps. Thank you, Jay. Research further. Research is important and critical in this process. Carrying out good process and planning for any eventualities you're going to have and dealing with policy and procedure. And let me give you some free advice. Every housing authority has an administrative plan. You do a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. You compose a Freedom of Information Act letter. You send that with a tracking number to your local housing authority. You ask for their policy handbook and then also their administrative plan. Do not ask for both in the same letter. They're only going to honor one question, ask and answer. So you may have to do this each differently. What that's going to do is procedurally show everything that they offer and do and how they handle those circumstances. That's part of the planning for you guys, because if you're not going to operate and play at the same level and the same rules, reading from the same book they are, then you're going to be lost in transition through housing. It isn't simply sufficient to have a desire or need to get housing, a voucher, or be in a program. You need to be able to absolutely understand how the programs work and defend yourself against any activity that would further violate your rights. If you have a bad caseworker, landlord, and so on, you can't simply wander through life and hope that people will have your best interest in mind. If that were the case, I wouldn't have had over 20,000 people through my career contact me talking about being treated so poorly by landlords and public housing authorities and having so many problems. So those two things there will enlighten you if you have the will to read them and go through that process to get it. Policy handbook and the administrative plan cover extreme detail. That is the first step in a very long march. You have to have a defensible position. It is your absolute responsibility to make sure that you're playing by the same set of rules. If you're expecting your caseworker or the housing authority to be your Yoda, your teacher, and just simply be an answer to every problem you have, then what are you going to do when they are your problem? Okay, that's like getting pulled over by the police, getting beat up, and then you drive to the police station only to discover the very cop that beat you is going to be the person that you asked to ask for help and help file the report. So, so save yourself a lot of time, pain, and misery. Get a hold of those manuals. You're going to need them. Okay. Scrolling on down, Peter Thompson. Good morning, Jay. I'm on SSDI and I'm still a long ways from being able to buy a home, which is my goal. I need help with a reasonable accommodation. You really should visit probably the video I'm going to do Sunday. I'm going to cover the most extensive list of accommodations ever released on the internet or anywhere. It's going to cover 140 different types of accommodations and modifications for both housing authorities and landlords. And though that's not going to be a 10-hour video, I'm going to basically give you subtitles to it and then descriptions to each. Okay. It's too extensive. So I'm using the full volume library of a quarter of a century of experience. I've identified 140 different types of accommodations and modifications, each having different sets of requirements. And I'm going to release as much of the details as I can, but videos have limits, including the amount of time we can spend on them. So it will be more of a concise thing. And then, of course, I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to recommend you contact me, because otherwise you're talking about reading 19 pages of information. And I don't think a lot of you are going to want to go through that. And just because you read something doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it. So I'm not saying you need to hire me to do anything. I'm just saying that it's going to take me several videos to get it all out and to be able to get this where it's structured. And then we're not even considering the basic procedure on how to compose those letters, how to send them. There's a lot to be considered with that. But a lot of you guys only believe there's about 3 or 4 different accommodations out there. There's 140 or more. And I'm not even discussing over 100 of them just for landlords. You guys don't even materially really, you've only touched the surface of the sun when it comes to understanding just how many rights you have. And so I'm going to take an entire career, I'm going to condense that as a menu like in a restaurant, and I'm going to present that. Now, from there, there's a lot of learning, but it's good to have your options available to you, so you guys quit using the few things that are being offered. Housing authorities are not going to put out a 900-page pamphlet in their lobby to teach you everything. They've made that by virtue of their laziness. It becomes my job as a consultant. Okay, moving from there. Well, thank you for the laughing out loud. I'll laugh with you. So it looks like we're, let me check the time here, but about 19 minutes. I think that I've sufficiently covered the topic, and I think we're at a point where it's okay to kind of close the video out. I've discussed all the options and services that our company offers. A lot more can be checked through our website, and we put out a lot of information in the comments section and in the description. And remember, I'm a last option. You should always try to approach your problems, your case, and what you need first. If you've exhausted all possibilities and you're not able to produce a reasonable result to help yourself, and you can't get it from 211, 311, the housing authority or HUD, and you're still stifled, you're still struggling, that's when you reach out to me. Okay. I'm not a first option. I'm a last option when all other things fail to service you. But I'll be honest, you'd be saving yourself a lot of pain and heartache if you contact me first. Okay. Because most people wander around trying to deal their problems for about a half a year before they throw their hands up. You don't really have to wait that long if you don't want to. I'm just being honest. So, all right, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you. We'll see you again, I believe, again Saturday. 5 more free memberships. And also, we're going to talk about all the variations of homes and livable structures that are now permitted by HUD. And I think it'll be exciting news for many of you that are looking for cheaper options for rental and acceptable forms of housing that can be utilized within the federal system housing and programs, including vouchers. With that being said, I'm going to close up the video and we'll see you guys again. Bye for now.